The sign of Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's earthy, and it's ruled by Venus. So if we just think about those things, fixed means it really needs a long time to establish itself. It's not shallow, it's deep, and it needs to really make its point. So it's fixed. It doesn't change quickly. It's not really going anywhere. It's what it is, and it needs time to establish that. That's the fixed quality. And it's earthy, even more fixed. Of all the fixed signs, Taurus is the most fixed. So you're not really expecting to move Taurus along in any hurry. They don't do hurrying, really. They do fast, and they do stop, but they don't really do anything much in between. So when I say fast, like, they push, it's not so much fast as constant, unstoppable dynamism. They can be extraordinarily dynamic, Taurus signs, when they're moving at all, which isn't all the time. Venus gives a lot of an understanding of why this is. Venus is the appreciation of beauty. And for Taurus, an earth sign, this has to be a tangible experience, the body experience of beauty, which is to do with touch and singing and just feeling the body to be a sensual thing. All of this is deeply present within Taurus. So you've got this slight kind of ambiguity where on the one hand the symbol of the bull is a symbol of power and push, and the symbol of Venus is not that. So it's a bit of an ambiguity within Taurus. And this is what explains their capacity for building up such a head of energy that it can explode if it's not released properly and in a timely way. They can be ferociously angry, but it is said only once in a lifetime. And I'm Taurus. I understand this really well. I don't think I've ever been totally angry, not as angry as I could be in my whole life. It's just, you just don't want to go there. It's too much. So fixed, Earth, Venus, we have to remember that as we go through the 6 expressions of Taurus in 5-degree blocks of their Sabian symbols. And Rudyard distinguishes between the first half of a sign and the second half. The first half of Taurus as a whole, the first 15 degrees, is labelled substantiation, and the second half confirmation. So we have this about Taurus where it really does need to be substantial, to materialize ideas, to see that it works, to see what works. And this ability it has, and need it has, to take something ill-defined, uncertain, wispy-waspy. Oh, yeah, Taurus doesn't like that. Let's see what it looks like in form. Let's substantiate this. Let's check it out to see what it looks like when it's measured and it's weighed and it has documentary evidence and it's real and you can't deny it. This is what Taurus needs, and therefore has the power to manifest. The first expression, the first 5 degrees of the sign, comes under the expression word power. And we have the 5 Sabian symbols begins with a mountain stream, a clear mountain stream. And this represents the principle of spontaneous authenticity. A mountain stream just is what it is, and it goes wherever it can go, and it doesn't consider anything. It just immediately, spontaneously, it does what it is. It just moves forward, the mountain stream. And the thunderstorm, the second degree of Taurus, is like an epiphany of light. Like, a thunderstorm, lightning, you just see everything the way it is. And this is what happened if you behave authentically, spontaneously. You just see how things are, whether they can be substantiated, whether they're real or not. And then you have this idea of wanting to progress against gravity, pushing uphill. And the steps up to the lawn of clover represents this principle of determination to move forward. And when you see the light, when you just see the way things are, then Taurus wants to move to substantiate that. And that requires a determined effort. And this moves towards the goal, the rainbow's pot of gold, which is the sense of, well, in the case of Taurus, because of this Venus energy, it's being touched by beauty. And the magical quality of the rainbow is our experience of having received this mystical clue as to the nature of reality being more than that which can be measured. And Taurus has that sense of beauty on that mystical level, hard-coded within it. And there's a sense of ability to imagine what that means. Beauty is subject to our imagination. You can't measure it. It's a subjective experience. And Taurus does look for that sense of gold in a beautiful situation. In order to maintain that sense of positivity and optimism, it is necessary to let go of sorrow and loss and grief. And this is the other part of the Taurus sense of being real and down to earth, is that what is. And the widow at the open grave, she's no doubt sorrowing terribly. And yet, it is the case. You can't negotiate with death. Certain things are the way they are, and it just has to be accepted. If you can't change it, what else are you going to do? And this is a part of the power of Taurus, being willing to just know what can't be altered and accept that. So the power of Taurus, therefore, lies in this ability it has to be real and spontaneous, to know about light and beauty, and to let go of any damaging, debilitating connection to that which cannot be changed. This gives its power to Taurus. So the second expression is application. And this begins with the ability to connect, to end separation, symbolized by Taurus 6, the gorge being crossed by a bridge. And having ended separation, you get the sense of being able to implant hope, to get other people to see things with a silver lining. The woman of Samara, she was able to rescue her life, change herself around from being a lost, desolate woman to a woman who's actually seen the light and can hope again. And this brings with it the sense of a spiritual uplifting, a sense of being able to face the future with the application that you need to get on with the job and motivate yourself to do work and move forward. And sometimes there's nothing to work with on the face of it. But because you've got hope, you can turn something into what it was not before. Almost taking a sleigh where there's no snow and turning it into something which is useful and productive because of this sense of optimism. And with this goes along the bringing of light, the spiritual uplifting leads us towards seeing the light. Like at Christmas, we put a light on the Christmas tree to bring the concept to the darkest time of the year of light. There will be light to come. It might be dark now, but there will be light to come. So this constant optimism of Taurus is a feature of its ability to apply itself to any situation, including dark situations, by bringing light. Where there was darkness before, it's necessary to bring light. And this is not just for oneself as a Taurus. It's a compassionate service, like the Red Cross nurse, Taurus 10. It's being able to bring hope and light and optimism and finding the way forward, the ability to apply oneself to situations that need a certain amount of imagination and optimism and just insistence that it'll be all right, to have faith that we can find a way forward. This is application. This is the second expression of Taurus. Now the third expression I'm calling authenticity. The underlying principle of humans really is that we want more. We're never satisfied with what we got, however good it is, we want more. And a lot of people disguise that, and some people feel embarrassed about that. But you don't get that with Taurus. If Taurus wants something, it goes for it. It really has this very strong desire nature. And somehow does that in a charming way. And there's this ability to cultivate a beautiful personality, symbolized by Taurus 11, the woman cultivating flowers. The Venus rulership of Taurus can be very charming indeed, and it's an earthy charm. It's not like the Venus in Libra kind of charm, which is very graceful indeed. It's very much more earthy than that. It's simple. It's real. I want more. And you have the window shoppers, the couple who are looking through the glass window at something that they desire, and not being embarrassed about this desire. So we have this ability to improve ourselves. Much like the porter carrying a heavy bag, the ability to carry our heaviness of desire and it's a very dark energy desire. It gets us involved in equations which need to be dealt with. It's a lot lighter if you have no desire, but Taurus doesn't mind carrying the baggage of wanting more and going about getting more, authentically representing the fact that it has a strong desire nature. The balance required in order for that to work is indicated by the next degree. The 14th degree is the children on the beach and the shellfish and everything, and they're just playing. And we're reminded that there's a need for us not only to carry the heavy bags of the previous degree, but also to learn how to relax. And this is a bit of a feature of the sign, that it works hard and it plays hard. There's a sense of, I've done a good day's work, therefore I need to deserve to have my time off, my relaxation and the fruits of my endeavour about Taurus. And so it does manage to balance work and play quite easily. And And yet, by being refreshed in this way of taking time off and thoroughly relaxing, thoroughly self-indulging, it can then go out and take on the storms of life bravely. And the 15th degree is that, the man braving the storm in the rakish silk hat, with a bit of panache. And so you can expect Taurus to be real, because they work hard because they like to work, and they play hard because they like to play, and they do whichever is appropriate at any time. Given no work, Taurus will play wild and free, but when there's a job to do, it will get up and do it. And this is real. This is how Taurus knows itself to be real, by balancing those two things. So as we move into the second half of Taurus, we're studying confirmation. What has been substantiated in the first half now needs to be confirmed. So here we see how very earthy Taurus is. It's not only enough to try out an idea and see if it works in practice. The second part of the sign wants to just make sure that it worked in practice, to confirm everything. And so we begin with the expression common sense. And this is the beauty, I think, of Taurus, is it's a no-nonsense sign. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. These are kind of approaches that Taurus has very innately, intuitively within it. And we begin with Taurus 16, which is the image of the old man trying in vain to reveal the mysteries. And a part of the reason for this, I think, that the Taurus understands, is that the mysteries are present in this mysterious way, and almost as though they're designed not to be understood. Most of the scriptures that we're given to read are metaphorical. They don't really tell you the whole story. You've got to fill in the gaps yourself. And other teachings, it's not easy to understand. You have to be able to speak the language that is relevant to that field of knowledge. And Taurus just doesn't get all of that, the need for all of that. Common sense tells us that you need to find new, simple ways to explain knowledge. So Taurus 16 is around that. Taurus 17 is around the balancing between what is necessity and what is desire. Because some of the things we hold a torch for, some of the things we desire, are not sensible. They don't sort of please the mind. The sword of the mind cuts through. It's not necessary. And so there's this challenge always within anything new that comes up. Look, do we need to do that? Do we want to do that? How do we deal with situations? What's the truth of what's going on? I don't want any nonsense here. I want to know why I'm doing this. Is it necessary, or do I desire it? Can I balance those two things? What's what here? I don't always desire the right thing. And on the other hand, the necessary doesn't always please me. So where's the compromise? Where's the negotiation? Where's the balance? So this is Taurus 17. And Taurus 18 is this woman with the open shopping bag. This is like creating a clear mind, not carrying the baggage. If you want a common sense approach to life to work, you have to just let go of your prejudices and be open to receive new information, and to rid yourself to some significant extent of prejudice, and to be ready to open up to a different way of being. And the next image of the new continent rising gives a sense of what can happen from within that open mind. New things, brand new life forms emerge, a continent is born, and all that goes with that. A whole reality is created. And the strength of a clear mind is indicated here. The capacity of Taurus to do something very significant, which has not been done before by anyone else, is quite real. And this is because of their common sense approach to life. If something's required and that happens to be a new continent, then okay, I'll just create a new continent. It's not subject to confusing complexity of the whys and wherefores. Very, very stable and down to earth. And this gives this ability to rise above the mundane, to perceive unseen forces, a mystical awareness of a background flow of energy. The 20th degree of Taurus speaks of this, the wisp of clouds just moving freely in the sky, subject to what we cannot see, the wind, we cannot see it. And so this ability of Taurus to actually tune into its earthy nature gives it access to a level of intuition, which is a bit unusual, because its intuition is inner teaching, intuition. So it's a physical thing. It's an inner awareness. In other words, we're somehow mystically picking up information from our environment all of the time, and it's there in the physical body. And yet it is Taurus, because it's familiarity with the physical, that can actually get a sense of this intuition. And the intuition speaks of other forces in life that may have been missed. And to Taurus, this is actually common sense. This is not an absurd thing that there are mystical goings on. It's obvious there must be. It's intuitively clear that there's a lot going on here that's not measured by science. It's pretty obvious that there must be the existence of unseen forces. So because Taurus finds it totally acceptable and absolutely ordinary and normal that should be the case, then the grasping of it is entirely straightforward. So the fifth expression is authority. And we begin this one with the finger pointing to a line in an open book. A sense of claiming guidance or taking guidance, and yet balancing that guidance with self-determination. The finger is our own finger, and the book is somebody's point of view, but it's us that puts the finger in the book. So we're actually sort of saying, okay, there's that guidance, and yet in the end it's for me to decide what guidance to accept, what guidance to follow. So the claiming authority begins with this ability to balance guidance with self-determination. There's also the ability to read the signs out there, as well as inside of the body covered in the previous degree. There are signs out there, symbols of what's going on, and to read these in the way that you could, that Noah read the fact that the white dove was flying in the sky, and that meant something. Taurus has this ability to see what's going on in nature and in the world, and kind of interpret that as being indicative of change coming, of information being given. And the ability, therefore, to read nature and to know that we get to interpret nature, it's a bit like, well, the jewelry shop is the next degree, in which the understanding is that even though nature gives us the jewel originally, it's dirty, it's uncut, it's not beautiful, but when we shape nature, we make it something more. So our own interaction with nature allows us to improve upon it. And again, we refer to the earthy quality of Taurus, this comfort, this sense of oneself being part of nature, and therefore our ability to do our bit to make our own nature beautify life is written. We don't, as Taurus, see ourselves as separate from nature, but a part of it all. So we can work to embellish what was otherwise not perfected. The forces of nature are sometimes soft and beautiful, and that's part of what we're talking about, but it's sometimes actually aggressive, and Taurus has to learn how to channel that aggression. I referred to that earlier, the potential for rage and violent anger and so on is strong within Taurus, and that sounds negative until you kind of come to terms with the idea that happened from birth. It was necessary to learn to control that from the earliest days, and so this ability to bring up really powerful earth energies in a controlled manner is present. And this allows for the possibility of claiming a role in the community, a role of leadership, so that there's an authority and a willingness to participate in collective endeavour. So the public park recognises this. You need people to step up and say, yes, let's do this, we can do this, let's all come together and get the job done, and I'll do my bit and you'll all do your bit, and so on. That kind of sense of authority is present within this. This is the fifth expression of Taurus. Now the sixth expression of Taurus is depth. And we begin with the 26th degree, which is the Spanish gallant serenading his lady. It's how society allows someone to declare their romantic feelings. It's all to do not so much with romance, but behaving in accordance with society's expectations. So learning how to play the game, charm, glamour, charisma perhaps, but being able to influence things in a soft and gentle way towards a required outcome. And the beauty is that actually it doesn't really matter what that outcome is. The game itself is worth playing, whether the result is a loss or a gain. So in Taurus 27, you have the old squaw selling beads by the roadside. She's indifferent to all of it. She's old. She's got all that she needs in life. She sells the beads just because that's what she does. She's showing off her culture as much as trying to earn money. And the whole image here is of a woman who's just not troubled by anything. And this combination of being able to go for something, knowing what you want, and being charming enough to get it if you want it. And then if you don't get it, just, oh well, it doesn't really matter very much. That's quite a successful formula for moving to a depth of self-understanding. You have to feel your way into this depth. You have to sink into it. And I think the old woman, the Indian native woman, she's doing that. She's just sinking into herself, not really being pushed or pulled by the world at large. And this is also present, but taken to the next level, perhaps in the 28th degree, where the older woman, the mature woman, is being pursued in a romantic sense. And on the one hand, she'd love to get involved romantically again. Lovely. But if it doesn't turn out the way she wants it to, it doesn't really matter. It's because of that indifference that you can move into a realm of being in which the heights and the depths are simple contours of life itself, but the investment is not in the expression, but in the depth of life itself. This is, one of the mysteries that Taurus really understands, is that life itself is the prize. Being alive, and all of it, the losses and the gains, they're equally valid. We come to the point in Taurus 29 of the two cobblers at work. These old guys, they're quietly doing what they've been doing for decades, and they're doing it in this symbiotic way. The two of them are necessary to get on with the job. It would be very difficult for one to do it alone, so they work in tandem. And whether one does it or the other does it, it doesn't really matter. Nothing matters very much. They're just being who they are, and that necessarily will get the result of peaceful harmony and a depth of beingness, a sense of self on a very profound level. And this goes one dimension further in the beautification of personality. It's like the peacock on the ancient lawn. It's already beautiful, the lawn, and yet the peacock just adds that touch of colour. And we have in Taurus this sense of wanting to show how it could be better, always a little bit more, a little bit better, and not really being self-conscious enough to limit its self-aggrandizement. But it's not the prideful sense of perhaps Leo or the pushiness of Aries. It's just Taurus is pretty much saying, well, look, life is really beautiful, and I'm a part of life, and I don't have any agenda. But look, am I not quite beautiful? And they can do this with their voice as well, singing voice, and in lots of different ways. But the expression of beauty is in very high relief in Taurus. So you have in Taurus this quite interesting kind of mixture of power and authority, and the bull is a symbol of power, the animal of the bull in a field. You don't mess with the bull. It's got that real sense of authority and application, that drive to achieve on the one hand. And yet on the other hand, Taurus is just common sense. It's just no nonsense and charming and beautiful and musical and peaceful, very peaceful, despite its power and authority, very peaceful.